Our major is particularly student-focused. We're a very big university, but I think our students over the years have found that the department, it's kind of a college within a college.
One of the best things about a labor studies and employment relations major at Penn State is that it prepares students for a wide range of careers. Our students find jobs in human resources, with the government, with unions, with nonprofits. The possibilities are endless.
I think it's great with being small. You get to know your professors get to know you, they're on a first name basis with you. And the great thing about it was if I ever had a question, if I ever had a problem, I felt like I could always walk into a professor's office and say, hey, this is a question I have. And I knew he would know my name, or she would know my name. That's just a comfortable feeling, knowing that you could really reach out to a professor if you have a problem with anything.
Another real positive thing about our program is that for most students, there's a job at the end of the 4 years. And that's because our program prepares students for a range of different career opportunities.
For me, I see human resources as a profession. It's not a job. It's not something that I do. It's kind of who I am. And what I mean by that is I know that what I do every day makes a difference in people's lives with how we pay them, how we treat them. So for me, there's nothing more that I want to do than be in human resources. I love what I do every day.
These students have an opportunity to network with Fortune 500 VPs of human resources, general counsels, CEOs, and this program is constantly bringing people through. These students get to meet them, interact with them, understand their stories, how they became successful. Resumes are exchanged, business cards are exchanged, and hopefully relationships are forged through that.
Every year, Penn State labor studies and employment relations students visit alumni job sites. LSER students have traveled to New York City, Washington, D.C., Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. They've met with Penn State alumni working with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Screen Actors Guild, PricewaterhouseCoopers, plus law firms, manufacturing plants, hospitals, and more. Internships are a vital part of a Penn State LSER student's college experience. An on-the-job experience gives students a real sense of what a career in their chosen field is like. Internships also make students more competitive when searching for a job after graduation.
As a student of LER, I was involved in the SLER, that's what we call it, which is the Society of Labor and Employment Relations. We had various alumni come in and talk to us about what it is that we could do once we graduated and what were they doing.
There's so many opportunities outside the classroom. I was actually the vice president of the Society for Human Resource Management, which is affiliated professionally with a national chapter. And through that experience, I've been able to not only network with professionals, but grow as a future professional in human resources.
With this major, you're really impacting what people do at least half their waking hours every day. Everybody works. So the issues you deal with in this field directly impact people and their families in their day-to-day life. And I think that's one of the things that makes it exciting and meaningful.
I would absolutely say that I'm grateful to Penn State's LER department because I think it prepared me to have a very exciting career path. I feel like I have an opportunity of a lifetime in the job that I sit in.
To me, what is so attractive about the LER degree is that you get this broad-based liberal arts approach where you're really becoming an educated person, which I think is a huge part of going to college. It's not just all about the career, but you also get this set of skills, this career orientation, that is not something that you typically get from a liberal arts education. And it's the combination of that two, the marriage of those two pieces of it, that I think makes the LER program so unique and so worthwhile.
When you think about it, every day in the United States, millions of people get up and they go to work. Over 1 billion people throughout the world get up and they go to work. And some of the craziest, most interesting, most bizarre things happen when they're at work. This major is about understanding those dynamics with an eye to making them work better. I think anyone who takes a closer look at the field will find something that interests them, something that sparks their own passions. And I think if you look at it, you will find something that attracts you, that grabs you, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.